Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name's Marianne Hanson. I'm the owner and the counsellor at Any Journeys Counselling. I provide counselling to couples. I also work with individuals. My main areas that I work with are relationships, but I also work with individuals with stress, depression, anxiety and self-worth issues. So if you've watched this channel and you come across this channel for some reason whilst you were just browsing and you probably typed in relationships or that sort of thing, then most of my videos are around relationships in terms of anything from infidelity issues, relationship dilemmas, um, you know, anything really. So this video is kind of something which I think you'll find of benefit because it is something that many people come to counselling for. So what I've narrowed it down to is 5 of the most common reasons for relationship breakdowns. Now, there are a number of reasons that people's relationships don't work, but there are also, the good news is, there are also a lot of relationship counsellors out there. And what I would say to people, because I'm also going to be making a video about this at some point, is you don't have to view relationship or couples counselling as a last resort. We'll wait till things are really, really bad and then couples counselling will be able to rescue it. I've even had people phone up and say, you're my last hope, and if this doesn't work, nothing will. What I would say to people is it's usually better to go for couples counselling when the issues are just emerging, because you've got nothing to lose. You're just going to speak to someone and you're hoping that the person will provide you with the strategies so that things can improve. Whereas if you go as a last resort and you say, right, if this doesn't work, nothing will, it's a lot of pressure that you're putting on each other, in the relationship. It can still work, it can still turn itself around, but I just think don't, if possible, leave it to the last minute. So here are 5 things that can have a massive impact on your relationship and can, in some cases, lead to relationship breakdown. So the number one thing, and this is probably the thing that I get most referrals to do with when it comes to couples, is poor communication. And that can also mean unresolved issues where you've got into continuous bickering, arguments that never ever get resolved. Now, I've made a few videos on this channel that are kind of linked with this, and that is around ways to effective communication. I've also talked about the 5 wrong times to have a discussion about your relationship, so you can check out those videos on this channel. But what I would say is that every single person on the planet has a different way of communicating and has a different communication style. Now, the way that you communicate with another person has a massive impact on, first of all, how they receive what you're saying, and second of all, their response towards you, and then you then have a decision to make when they respond back to you, what you then do. So an example of that could be, if you're someone that when you're in an argument with someone, your main agenda is that you have to get your point across, you have to be understood by the other person, and that you will not stop arguing until that argument ends, until there's a resolution. You could be in a relationship with someone who hates conflict, doesn't want to, the minute you start shouting, that causes an issue. They need their space, they need to walk off, and they believe that you don't need to keep going until the end. You can talk about it tomorrow. What you've got there is 2 different styles of communicating, and it can lead to this deadlock thing where one of you keeps going and wants a resolution, the other person keeps walking away, they want you to forget about it, and there's just a mismatch there. So counselling is useful in terms of exploring how people communicate and then taking it to the next level where you provide strategies so that there's a compromise. So it doesn't have to mean the person who wants it resolved feels, they're just left and they feel like, no, this person is allowed to walk away and I don't feel happy. But the person who walks away doesn't also want to feel like they have to stand there and argue to the end. There are people I know, or I've heard of, who can argue for hours. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a real waste of energy, but it's also the fact that the amount of passion you're putting into this argument, imagine what you could do as a couple. You'd be a power couple if you turned that energy into something else. What if you were running a business together? You know, your business would be really good if you could spend 3 hours working on that instead of 3 hours shouting at each other, because it's wasted energy and it's not good for your relationship. So communication is a big thing that has an impact. The second bit, which is slightly related to communication, is nagging, whining and complaining. Now this includes when you're not around the person. It's complaining to other people about the person. It's nagging, telling the person all the time, you know, what they need to do. What you create there is you create a parent-child situation. And what that means is if you're in an adult-to-adult relationship, and this is like, the theory of this is called transactional analysis. And it says that as long as you relate to another person on an adult-to-adult level, where you're aware of your emotions, but you are still communicating as an adult to another adult, then there shouldn't be as much conflict and issues. The minute you go into child-parent mode, where you feel you have to tell that person what to do, you are demanding, you're instructing, you are using certain tone, you are speaking to them in a certain manner. It doesn't matter what you think that you're doing, it's how that person receives it, and it has a massive impact on how people feel. I know couples where there's someone has been receiving that sort of thing for years, so they might be getting nagged, complained, always saying, you know, you haven't done this, and I'm sick of this, and I'm tired of this, and I'm tired of that. The person is absorbing all of this, and then maybe out of the blue they'll just say to the person, I can't be in this relationship, or they leave. And then the other person is shell-shocked and thinks, where's this come from? It's because they've absorbed the information that you've been saying to them, but they just haven't responded, and that's their behaviour, is their response. So another issue that comes up and that can have a massive impact on a relationship is controlling or abusive behaviour. Now, I don't want to do a whole video talking about this. I've made videos on abusive relationships. There's one that you can find on this channel called Reasons Why Women Stay in Abusive Relationships. I've also worked at Women's Aid, so I've spent a lot of time counselling women who have been in abusive, physically and emotional abusive relationships. But really, it's obvious why that has an impact. And it doesn't always have to be that, because if you're dating someone initially and you see the signs of controlling behaviour, then that would be the time to make some decisions and to maybe seek some help and some advice. Now, it's policy that we don't, as counsellors, we never work with a couple where there's ongoing or a history of abuse. The reason being, we don't want to put either party in sort of danger. Say we're talking about things that the one person has been doing, there's a victim and persecutor there. So if you're then asking the victim in front of the persecutor to talk about the negative, you're leaving them open to more abuse. So what I would say is, if you're in a controlling relationship, the best thing to do initially is to seek advice, whether it's get feedback from your friends, family, what do they think about this person? Give examples of the behaviour, and someone somewhere will be able to say to you, well, no, if this person is timing you, how long it takes you to come back from the shop, if this person is always turning up to places and saying you've got to come back, it's marking that against what the average person would consider as being normal or consider as being reasonable. And then the fourth thing is a lack of intimacy and connection. Now, I've got no judgment on people who have like separate rooms, on people who display public affection, you know, in the street, hold hands, kiss, hug, or people who don't. I don't think it's to do with that, but my feeling is that the people who have come for counselling or people that have discussed things with me are saying that, you know, they've been in this relationship for months and there's been no sex, or we don't even kiss anymore, we don't even hug when we're in the chair, we're like really, there's a gap between us. It's all about proximity and the fact that the connection is gone. Now, in a relationship, you need some form of connection, and that intimacy doesn't always have to mean full-on sex. But if you're not getting any form of affection from your partner, then to me it's going to have some impact. That doesn't mean it's going to lead to affairs or it's going to lead to the relationship ending, but it means you've got an issue that probably needs to be addressed. And there's always an underlying reason. When people say, we're in separate rooms because I've just had a baby, or the baby likes to sleep in my bed, or because he snores, or because she does different shifts, I do understand that, and they are genuine reasons. But if you're a connected couple, you're going to find opportunities to remain intimate. Plus, the natural feeling that one of you is going to have is that I miss being next to this person. And when that feeling isn't there, then sometimes it could be because there's another reason for that. And I think counselling is a good opportunity for you to explore, you know, how long have you slept in separate rooms? If it's been years and you just don't really have the intimacy, it could just be the desire has gone, or it could be another reason. And the final thing, which I've kind of talked about slightly, is giving ultimatums to someone. That can lead to massive issues in a relationship and breakdowns. If you're saying to I've recently been watching Teen Mum, I think it's 16 and Pregnant on MTV, where the boy in the relationship, his mum doesn't get on with his girlfriend who's pregnant, and she keeps giving him these ultimatums, you know, I'm not having you a mum at the baby shower, and you need to tell your mum this, it's causing a lot of issue between them because it's his mum. And if any time someone says to someone, you need to choose between me and your friends, choose between me and your mum, you need to tell your mum this, tell your best friend this, you ain't going to the pub with them, you ain't going on holiday with them. One, it's leading back to that controlling, nagging, parent-child situation. As our brains kind of receive that sort of information as lack of freedom, you know what I mean? Who are you to tell me what to do? You know, why are you saying this to me? So it's not good to give ultimatums in any relationship. It's better to try to understand, what is it about this person or this situation that is causing me to have such a strong reaction. Once you've figured that out for yourself, you can then sit down with your partner and reach some sort of compromise. So I hope you found this video useful. You can go over to my Facebook page actually, and NU Journeys Counselling, but also my other pages, Coach Marianne Hanson, and my personal page, Marianne Hanson. I've been doing quite a few videos today. I'll try to do more videos for my YouTube. Sorry I've not been making as many as I used to. It's just time, that's it. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and you can also leave your information if you want to make a counselling inquiry. You can find the details below. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe if you like this video. Thanks guys, bye.